joining us now, and I'll tell you what, if there's a procrastinator of getting presents, it's Mike Mominey.
I knew I was going to be set up for something. It's absolutely true.
Good morning.
Don't they have great sales on Christmas Eve?
Huh?
They have great sales on Christmas Eve, Tony.
Yeah, but you know what? It's making it home in time for dinner and getting those presents in the house.
Yeah.
Do you wait for a reason, or is it just because you're so busy?
Well, I'd like to tell you I wait for a reason, but it is part procrastination. But of course, we travel to Ohio with the family. We're traveling out this weekend, so but we travel up there. So why would I lug the gifts 1,200 miles north when they have the same type of stores out in Aurora, Ohio? So they have a lot of nice outlet malls up there, and it's usually not too crowded on Christmas Eve, as you would imagine. But
actually, that makes sense. I'm sorry to say that I actually agree. I can't even believe I'm saying that.
Since you surprised me with the question, I guess I surprised you with the answer.
Yeah. Hey, listen, what a great week here. There's so much to talk about. First, the basketball team. Huge win over Shaw, and tell people who may not know a lot about Shaw that they're ranked.
Yes.
And it was a big win for the Lady Sharks.
It was on this past Tuesday. Shaw University is ranked 24th in the country, and traditional powerhouse in the Carolina area, and they've been to several NCAA tournaments in recent years. Very athletic team. I was personally at the game and watched it on Tuesday night. But Coach Freeland and really had her kids playing and man-up defense, and I don't know if I think you have her on the show to talk more details, but great win going into the break, probably the most important thing, of course. We have the 2 losses in conference, but this was our last game before the Christmas break, the Christmas holidays, so not only a great win against a great opponent in Shaw, but going into the break, and then when we turn around after the first of the year, we'll get heavily into conference. So I think it's a confidence builder for the kids. The win really for me, sitting there as a fan and watching it, it just proved that we're 8, 9, 10 girls deep, and we can play some defense against some great athletes at Shaw. So it was a great week with that win.
I tell you what, in talking to Leanne and getting to know her and having her on the show the last 3 weeks, she certainly brings not only a fire but a certain type of attitude to the court, to this university, to the girls, and I think that now, heck, only 8 or 9 games into the season, she's starting to reap some of the benefits of what she's been able to put in, and it hasn't been easy, considering that majority of these girls have been through a number of head coaches, gone through a number of different styles of play, and now she's giving them yet another one to learn.
Right. Yeah. Technically, the third head coach in 3 years. Last year we had Ann Walker serve as the interim, one of my administrators who had a coaching background, but to come on board in March and April, and I think you are seeing it. And I think when I were on one of the earlier shows, they talked about it takes a few games before they can really get a feel for their team. Again, from my perspective, it probably has taken this long for them to take on the personality of the coach and coach, not only Coach Freeland, but her staff, Coach Kohlheim, who actually played in our conference at Florida Southern University. Her assistant coach, who's from Bishop Moreau High School, just across the Alligator Alley there, but she brings that same defensive, mentality and like you said, an attitude. But you're starting to see some of the kids take on the personality of the coaches, and I think this is a perfect example of that.
Another bit of news, which is another big piece of news, actually, for those people who follow the LPGA. They're soon going to be able to follow an NSU grad.
Yes.
And you got the text from Sandra, so I'd like you to share that.
Sure.
And what that meant to you when you get the text from Sandra Chanjiga.
Yes, Sandra, and I know we've talked with her, talked about this. I think on the last time I was here that they were going through qualifying school, and it's a long and grinding road. But Sandra, just to remind the listeners, but she was the 4-time National Player of the Year in Division II. She was a member of a 3-time national championship team here at Nova Southeastern. And she was the #1 player on all those teams. So Sandra's a fine young lady, truly a student athlete. She graduated with a sports administration degree in our School of Business. And I've gotten close to Sandra over the years and spending some time. And I like to say, I know all the All-Americans, and then I sort of know the guys that all get in trouble here on campus. But I had the great fortune of being around Sandra for 4 years, was at all 4 national championships, but got to spend a lot of time with her off the course to talk to her about doing interviews or doing shows, and I think we're going to have her on a show coming up. But what a great accomplishment. So as she goes through the stages, and it's 5 rounds of 18 holes up in Daytona Beach, and there's only so many players that get full exemption in their LPGA status, and Sandra was able to not only qualify for exempt status of LPGA, she finished in the top 10. So she not only just snuck in, she didn't sneak in the door of qualifying for the LPGA. So what that means, we have a Nova Southeastern University student athlete alum who will be playing fully exempt on the LPGA Tour next year. So, and we were together last Sunday. We happened to be at the Dolphins game, right, last Sunday together with some friends of ours and family. But it was neat. I got a text from Sandra, and she just simply said, 2012 LPGA rookie with an exclamation point and a smiley face. And I told her congratulations. And of course, the next text was, I have a lot of room on my tour bag, for a logo if you have anybody that's interested. So, I continue to talk with her, and I've talked to her several times since last week, and she's so excited, but, her world has just changed. She went through, a full day of meetings with the LPGA, sort of rookie school they call it, and just sort of what they're to expect on these potentially 25 different tournaments she'll play all over the world, half of which are out of the country. So, very excited for her. I get chills talking about it because I just saw her hard work, and I was witness to something where she had always dreamed this, and she told me her goal, as a freshman, was to play on the LPGA Tour. So here 5 years later, 3 rings later, 4 national Player of the Year trophies later, and then here she is reaching her dream of playing on the LPGA Tour.
And let's not leave out the academic component. She graduates, great student.
Yes.
I mean, she was the total package.
She was definitely a poster child, if I hate to use that terminology, but she's a poster child for the athletic department. She was well-rounded in every sense of the word. She knew how to balance her responsibilities as an athlete, which in golf, people say, well, how hard can that be? Walk around the golf course. But again, they don't take carts like you and I do, here across the street at Grand Oaks. They walk 18 holes, carry their own bag. There's no caddies. And I would argue, they're as good as athletes as anyone on this campus. But, just always saw her across the street at Grand Oaks working on her game and always was focused. And again, she balanced that with going through. And actually, she was actually done a semester early. She did take 1 class in the spring just to satisfy her requirements, but she was way ahead of the game academically, great student. And again, when you're looking at what we're trying to build here and trying to teach some of these student athletes coming through in the pillars of community service, academic achievement, athletic achievement, she hit all of them.
Well, that kind of leads me into the fact that you named Amanda Brown and Garrett Runyon as your head coaches for the men's and women's golf teams.
Yeah.
New head coaches because the ones left, the former coaches departed. Amanda takes on, she was the associate head coach at one point, assistant last year. She takes on a huge responsibility with these girls.
She does. New head coaches, but not new, employees to the athletic department.
They're both from within.
Both from within, but again, Kevin Marsh, who had done such a great job, and actually Kevin was the head coach for both programs. Men have been ranked in the top 10 for the last 7 years, and on the brink of maybe doing something special this coming year. And of course, the women's winning the 3 national championships. But Kevin transitioned out to concentrate more on family, and he's working in the golf business, not coaching anymore. So he was a big part of building this over the 7 years. But we opened up the position, did a national search, had as you would imagine a lot of interest. But probably the biggest decision to let everyone know is, we've split the position, meaning, we looked for a head coach for the men's team and a head coach for the women's team.
Why do you do that?
After, really evaluating it and actually spending a lot of time with Kevin and talking about the future of the program, we had talked to briefly about it over the last couple of years. I mean, it's a big responsibility, and typically men and women teams in golf don't play in the same tournaments. They could be traveling opposite ends of the country, and to the level of our programs, I think it was important to consider. So I think in talking to some of my peers in the business, as well as talking to Kevin, we counted actually his days on the road as the head coach for both programs, and it was over 75 days. And that's more than any other head coach that would have to travel. That's just with his team, let alone recruiting. So, because golf teams in college golf are typically out there 3, 4, 5 days, depending on where they are, because it's 3 rounds. So it could be a day in to travel, 3 days of playing, and a day back. So those days add up. So, the decision to split the program, which is the typical model. So what we did is we split the program to a head coach for men, head coach for women, and now we have an assistant for both programs, more serve an administrative role. National search, again, having a ton of interest. Interesting time of the year to do this, because typically you would do this in the spring into the summer. I'm happy to say, and I think you're going to have them on later, at least one of them on later. On the women's side, Amanda Brown, it's a neat story. I think she's good. I have all the confidence in the world. She's going to lead this program to continued success. She played for us. She's been a long-time assistant, elevated to associate head coach, and she's very involved with the course management and the playing and the relationships I saw with the girls, and the recruiting over the last couple months. Was really an easy decision for me to name Amanda Brown. So we're happy to have her as the new women's coach. As far as Garrett Runyon, new to the program as of last year as the assistant, but had an opportunity, and it's probably good that I'd like to spend at least a little time on a golf course and got to see them both work. But on Garrett's side, he comes from a strong playing background. He's played over in the Baton Rouge area, the school that we all know that's going to be playing in a big game on January 9th at LSU, but he was an All-American there, captain of the team, and then spent some time on the pro tour, not as a player, but as a caddy. So he has been around the highest level. And again, they were interim head coaches from the time Kevin resigned at the end of August up until, I guess, a week ago, until I named them head coaches. But very excited to really see these young coaches, take it as their own, and they'll have the responsibility of that. And I think it's also important to note that they'll work well together, because even though they're separate programs, in this particular sport, it's important that they work well together.
I'm looking forward to talking to them a little bit later in the show. Real quick, we have a couple of events coming on this weekend here.
Yes. We're actually in the midst of the second annual Shark Invitational,
which is a great event. We're going to have Holly on to talk about that.
Yeah, great event.
Kind of grab her real quick before she has to go back out there.
Yes. It's a great event. We also have the Cruising Classic, which is I guess we're technically hosting the tournament. Our men's team is playing in that tournament, but it's I believe it's 8 or 10 teams, men and women, that come in. I guess everyone likes visiting South Florida, right? The weekend before Christmas, so it's not hard to get teams down here. Same thing with the swimming event. If you think about it, we do have a lot of northern teams coming, but even if you're in Jacksonville or Orlando, it could be a little cool out there. But we do have the beautiful outdoor facility at the Aquatic Center, and this is our second attempt at an invitational. And Coach Crone and all our staff do a great job. So it's a busy weekend here as we go into the holidays. But after we get through this weekend, we'll have a little bit of a break before the first of the year.
You do know the joke we're trying to get Holly to go into the pool with the
Yes.
Have you heard that?
I had heard that, and the word is spread around the department. So I think now she's either going to be embarrassed into actually going in and showing
off. So we've been
off.
Successful in our quest.
Yeah, and I think we should just continue that without anyone else in the room. Maybe we should, have Amanda and Garrett, maybe they should go on the course and take a couple shots, or Greg Brown can go in the batting cages.
I think exactly. Leanne's got to get on the court.
Yeah.
Lisa Bonet get up to the plate.
Without a doubt. I mean, if
Robert
they
Martin.
can't still do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for
Appreciate
everything. You do a wonderful job here at NSU. Mike Mominey, the athletic director at Nova Southeastern University. It's always a pleasure to have him on, and I'll tell you what, you do a great job here. Mike, have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you, Tony.